People that have moved into a house, apartment, what's the most interesting thing you've found from the previous occupants? When you go on the balcony for our apartment, there's a kid's chalk drawing or paint. It doesn't wash off, but it looks like chalk of a sad face that says I am sad under it, which I've always been unnerved by. Crammed under a built-in drawer below a bedroom closet was a police report from the late 60s delineating a missing person, kidnapping case involving the prior, now deceased owner who at the time was teenager. It also mentions my next-door neighbor who was a person of interest in the case. Haven't talked to him about it, and not sure I want to bring it up. My brother found a mysterious wrapped bundle in the drop ceiling of his house, and waited for me to be there to open it. We thought it might be drugs or money or something illegal, so I wore gloves when I unwrapped it. Turns out gloves were a great idea. It was a double penetration dildo, wrapped in about 4 plastic shopping bags. To clarify, it wasn't a double-sided dildo, it was meant for one person to use it. So did you guys clap your asses together like real brothers? Dishes still in the dishwasher. After closing we were at the house celebrating and they showed up asking for them. My wife and I bought a house almost a year ago and we did multiple inspections and walkthroughs with the realtor and home inspectors and nobody noticed the big bong in the garage until the day we were moving stuff in. I still have it in there. I spray painted it and have a fake flower in it. My vase. Speaking as the previous tenant, I left a locket containing Macaulay Culkin's photo in the cupboard for the sheer purpose of making the next tenant happy. Concerned tenant, so they didn't buy, so then technically, was the home a loan? Moved into an old apartment in a college town. It had previously been a fraternity or sorority house all through the 80s. I was at an all-Greek party alumni and met an older guy who found out I lived in his old frat house. He immediately asked if we ever partied in the basement. I told him we didn't have basement access from inside, so no. He then had me follow him back to my house and showed me a false wall next to the bathroom that led down into the basement. Not gonna lie, it kinda freaked me out. The basement door outside had a broken lock, so anyone could get down there. The false wall was hard to open from the house side, but really easy to push open from the basement. Anybody could have gone down there and come up into my apartment. I renovated the basement and tore down the drop ceiling. An envelope fell out in the process. I was hoping for money, but I got something better. In the envelope was a bunch of evidence collected by the ex-husband that she was cheating on him. Credit card receipts, hotel receipts, lewd emails, and dick pics. It was gross but awesome at the same time. Stripping the wallpaper, found decades of notes from the previous owner, who was an elderly gentleman, who bought it new in 1960. The last one was in 2011, saying wallpaper for the last time, aged 79, goodbye and good luck. Bless. Henry. A 1950 nuclear bomb survival kit, complete with rice in a can and a pamphlet that instructed mothers not to let their radiated children inside if they were playing outside when the bomb went off. So amazing. So what were they supposed to do with their kids? Well, you're children of the wild now, off to the forest with you, or maybe that cornfield over there. Not me, but there was this post a while back where a guy took down a wall so he could put in a shower, then found a hidden shower behind the wall. When I was 8, we rented a Victorian house for a while and found a love letter from 1912 in the banister of the stairs. My husband and I found a Crown Royal bag in the rafters of the basement that previous tenants had left behind. As soon as I saw it, I yelled, "Open it! Open it! It's money or drugs!" It was not money or drugs. It was a purple dildo and some lube. Not me, but someone I know has moved to Japan. They rented an apartment and was doing some cleaning when they moved the fridge only to find a small room with a balcony. Like it had a washer and bedding stacked up. I think it was so odd, just hidden behind the fridge. I discovered a similar cover-up at work. We were adding more staff members but didn't have enough officers. There was a spacious closet that had lights and ventilation, but no window and a crappy linoleum floor. But it was quiet and I'm a writer, so I volunteered to take it. It had to be painted, and when one of the guys came up to do that, he said, "Oh, this used to be a regular office. but they covered up the window so they could use it as a darkroom. A crew took down the wallboard that was covering up the window, and when the sunlight poured in, it was like the scene in The Wizard of Oz when Dorothy steps from her black and white farmhouse into colorful Oz. The crew painted it and laid down new carpeting, and when it was finished, it was so lovely that a lot of other people in the department decided they wanted it. Eventually someone else did get it and I had to move out. Mini vials of very tiny fish in the backyard. I live near a college, so I'm hoping it was some biology project leftovers, and not anything crazier. It was weird though. They were completely intact even though being in some sort of liquid, half buried in the dirt for an obviously long time. Or fish funeral. I can imagine a kid insisting they need to be buried in water like they lived. We found a box of old notes from middle school girls flirting with the guy, also found a couple yearbooks and other random pictures. Dude was quite the player in middle school. Way back on January 1, 1976, my family moved into an apartment. I was 10 years old at the time. We had just come to Canada in June. While we were cleaning my room before painting it, we took off the radiator cover to clean the inside. Under the radiator cover was a complete, handmade game of Monopoly. I didn't really know English at the time and didn't know what Monopoly was. Later I found out that the two boys living in that room had been a couple of years older than me. Their parents had been very strict old-world traditional and had refused to let them buy a Monopoly game, so they had handcrafted their own and kept it hidden in the radiator. My uncle bought a house from people whose mother had passed away. They left a good amount of stuff in the house, mostly worthless. Christmas decorations, cutlery, etc. In the back of one closet we found a trash bag full of lottery scratch-offs. We started going through them and they were all winners. Turned out to be about $12,000 in winning tickets. We took a few to the convenience store to check them and they were all past the cash by date AMD. The state lottery would no longer pay them out. A box hidden in a loose board with heroin and needles. The yellow-orange goo dripping from our walls as the cigarette tar seeps out when the humidity gets too high while I shower. After 3 full washes their little gift left. I am the first occupant in my current apartment, but I did find the lid of a paint bucket with a message on it on top of a wardrobe reading "Hope you like your new apartment, the painter." Pennies. Me and my homies found like $6 worth of pennies and nickels under the carpets from 1980 and before. Back in the day I rented the upstairs of an old brick house in the small town I grew up in. It was the first brick building to be built and served as a liquor store around the time of Prohibition in Canada on the border of the US. In the attic I found some old liquor bottles in the rafters. The house down the street was owned by Al Capone. It has secret passageways in the walls and even a jail cell in the basement. My father's childhood home had a hidden cellar under the living room, and some of his neighbors had tunnels in the basements that had been blocked up. My mom and I had moved into a studio apartment following her successfully completing drug court when I was about 11 years old. I climbed on the counter in the kitchen to clean the top shelf of a cupboard and found a bag of crystal meth. She flushed the bag in front of me, but later in life told me she could have sold it for $200 easily on the street. Always proud of her. Not my own story but my SO. Was helping a mutual friend move into her new house. In the attic, they find a locked chest, and they give up looking for the key. A few months later my friend found a key and immediately tried to open the chest. To her delight, it worked. Inside was a fragile collection of newspapers all from World War II. I've seen some of the clippings, and it's absolutely surreal. Found out that there's a spot where you can get under the cabinets in the kitchen. My cat hid there a lot the first couple of days, and after that I noticed a mysterious increase in dusty cat toys. Eventually he dragged all of the previous tenants' cat's toys out from under there. I bet your cat felt like he hit the mother lode. My dad found a first edition book from Benjamin Franklin. Previous owner was a principal and book collector who killed himself in retirement. His family didn't check the crawl space and my dad found a bunch of stuff in it like an autographed baseball bat, Playboys, a 5-gallon jar half full of pennies, bunch of valuable books, a bong, painting supplies, a broken antique handgun and sword in a box labeled cheese, and then just some clothes and carp. I bought a 130-year-old house in New Orleans, so old that drywall hadn't been invented. They would just build the walls out of wood and nail newspaper to it so the wallpaper would have something to adhere to. The most interesting thing I've found is the newspapers inside the walls reporting on the goings-on in New Orleans in 1916. A brand new riding mower was in the garage under a tarp, still waiting for them to come back for it. Found a vinyl record under a carpet. It was broken and missing a piece. Didn't have a label either. It was just such a weird thing to leave there when laying down carpet, I thought. My guess would be that one previous occupant loved that record, and another person hated it and took steps to ensure it didn't get played anymore. Oh, have you not heard that the bird is the word? A Saturday Night Live script with handwritten notes in it. This was in a Brooklyn apartment at the base of a shelf above the closet. It appeared to be pretty old. I looked up the name of the writer on the script and he was active at SNL about 10 years ago. Occasionally I'd get mail with the same name on it. As a kid, my parents moved into a former Minnesota Vikings lineman's house and he left a PS1 with a bunch of games. Great dude, IMO.